Hi, Team Gerwell. It's me, and we are flipping in fifth with Mrs. G. Remember, at the very beginning of every lesson, I want you to copy down your notes page. If you have forgotten what it looks like, just look at the page before. This should come at your next empty page in your math notebook. Today is Topic 2, Lesson 2, and today's learning target is, I will be able to round whole numbers and decimals. So for today's vocabulary, we just have one word. We have the word rounding. It replaces one number with another number, which tells you about how much. Rounding replaces one number with another number, which tells you about how much. So let's do some place value practice. Thank you. Well, I knew you guys were excited about place value, but I didn't know you were that excited. So let's practice here by writing down the number in the tens place. How could we remember what that is? Well, the tens place is a 2 because we could sing the place value song. Yay! Remember, let's try that again. Ones, tens. Oh, we don't have to go any further. We knew the 2 was in the tens place. So now write down the number in the thousands place, in the number 45,123. Let's sing that place value song and figure it out. Ready? Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. That's right. So the 5 is in the thousands place. If you don't know your place value, rounding is going to be very difficult. So think about it. Is 636 closer to 600 or 700? Well, let's learn the rounding poem that's going to help you remember. It goes like this. Find your place, look next door, 5 or greater, add one more. All digits in front stay the same, all digits behind, zeros your name. I want you to pause the video and I want to make sure that you write that down word for word under your notes section in your math notebook. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, have you written all those words down? The rounding poem is really going to help you learn how to round. So let's try it. Let's round the number 623 to the nearest hundreds. So it says find your place. So the nearest hundreds would be the 6. Look next door. Well, that's the 2. Is it 5 or greater? Do we need to add one more? No, it's not. So all digits in front stay the same. All digits behind, zeros your name. So all digits in front stay the same, but all digits behind, zeros your name. So 623 rounded to the nearest hundreds is 600. So again, let's think about it on a number line. Is 636 closer to 600 like we think, or is it closer to 700? Yeah, it would be closer to 600, so our answer is correct. Let's try a harder one. Now I want you to round the number 67,795 to the nearest hundreds. Well, we're going to find your place, look next door, that's the 9. 5 or greater, add one more. Well, 9 is greater than 5, so we're going to add 1 to the 7. All digits in front stay the same. All digits behind, zeros your name. So the digits in front, which are the 67, will stay the same. We've added the 1 to the 7, and that made it 8, and then all of the digits behind were zeros. Now you try. Try this one on your own. Round the number 276,101 to the nearest 10,000s. Go ahead and pause the video now and figure out the problem on your own, and then come back for the answer. Okay, here comes the answer in 3, 2, 1. Well, we're going to find your place, which is the 7. Look next door, which would be the 6. It is 5 or greater, so we're going to add one more. All the digits in the front, which is the 2, will stay the same. The digits behind are all zeros. So 276,101 to the nearest 10,000s is 280,000. Is that what you got? I sure hope so. So let's do some decimal place value practice. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I know you're very excited to do decimal place value practice. So write down the number in the tenths place. Tenths. That THS tells us it's a decimal. Did you write 3? Well, sing the place value song if you don't remember. And remember, the place value song, verse 2, deals with decimals. We said decimal, tenths, hundredths, but we didn't need to go any further because we knew tenths was the first place there, and it's the 3. So now write down the number in the thousandths place. Do you even see a decimal there? I don't because it went off the screen. But if we were using the same number as above, what would be the thousandths place? I totally messed that one up. Everybody stand up. It's time to do a hula hula hoo because Mrs. G made a mistake. I can't believe it. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Hula hula hoo. Okay, so I messed that one up. So let's just not even pay attention to the second one. But again, if you don't know your place value, rounding is difficult. So rounding with decimals is just like rounding to whole numbers with one teeny tiny exception. So let's try it. Round the number 642.7637 to the nearest hundredths. So you're going to find your place, which is the 6. Look next door, that's the 3. If it's 5 or greater, add one more. It's not. So all digits in the front stay the same. All digits behind zero's your name. And here's the exception, except after decimals, okay? So the zeros, whenever you're using decimals, are not going to have to be put in there, okay? So anything after the whole number, so the 76, we don't have to put zeros because it doesn't have any value anyway. So if you put it, it's fine, but you really need to make sure that you don't put the zeros in. So now you try. Do the following practice problems and be sure to look back at the rounding poem that you copied into your notes for help. You might even need to look back in your place value chart earlier in your math notebook to remind you where those things are, but I sure hope you know that by now. Otherwise, sing the song. It always helps me. So go ahead, write all of these in your math notebook, pause the video, and then come back and I'll give you the answers. Okay, we're coming back with answers in 3, 2, 1. So number 1 is asking you to round to the nearest tens. So I always like to underline the number that I'm rounding to so I remember it, and then I will underline that place value in the number that I'm given. So the tens place is the 2. So if we're rounding to the nearest tens, it would be 3,420. Number 2, I've underlined 10,000s because that's the place we're rounding to. And I have also made that number in yellow, or you can underline that as well, and that's the 4. So if we're going to round this number to the nearest 10,000s, it would be 2,350,000 would be the answer. Number 3, now we're rounding to the nearest hundredths. And when we see that on the end, THS, it tells us what? That it's a decimal. That's right. So this time we're going to be rounding to the nearest hundredths, which the number would be 6, so the answer would be 34.27. The next one, number 4, we're rounding to the nearest tenths, which we know is also a decimal place value. So that answer is 987.3. Remember, that teeny tiny little exception that you don't have to write all of the zeros after a decimal. Now, if you have them in there, it's not the end of the world, but you need to try to remember to not put them in. And then number 5, we're rounding to the nearest tens. We're back to whole numbers again, so the left side of the decimal. So if you rounded 453.687 to the nearest tens, it would be 450, because remember, we don't put zeros after the decimal. Okay, this can get kind of confusing, and I completely understand that you might be a little bit confused, and that's fine. That just means that you're learning. So what I want you to do is go ahead and make sure you've checked your work and write how many you got correct. Remember, be honest, it's not for a grade. Number 2, I want you to fill out that self-reflection. Could you teach this to a friend, or are you still a little bit confused? Remember, everybody's confused at one time or another. And then list the questions you still have. Maybe you don't understand the exception to rounding to decimals. Maybe you feel like you just need some more practice. That's fine, but I want you to write down one of the questions or comments that you might have after watching the video. Okay, I can't wait to see you tomorrow so we can do some rounding some more. I'll see you later. Have a great night.